இல்லையடா பாவி. தெருக்கூத்துக்கு முன்னாடி இந்த ஜோக்கர் போய் அங்க சீன் போடணுமே, அது மாதிரி நான் ஏதாவது பண்ணி ஆகணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். வெங்கட் வரலையே. ஹாய், ஹலோ, வணக்கம். It would. Please bear with me. There is some technical glitch in terms of streaming. I also have a problem with our speaker not being able to connect. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes. We should be up and running soon. Sure. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes. I think the speaker's computer got rebooted and he was kicked out of this session. So at the end of the session, if any of you want to come to the stage and have a chat with Venkat, please feel free to request for access to the stage. I'll be very glad to give you access to the stage. Before he joins, meanwhile, I welcome you all to the second episode of Data Talks. This is an initiative by the Ideas to IT Technologies data warehousing team. We are a CTO consulting organization, a product engineering company based in Chennai, Mexico, and the US. And we specialize in various data-related technologies, data engineering, data science, and data warehousing. And this initiative is from the data warehousing team, which works predominantly on cloud data warehouses, namely Snowflake and Redshift. Okay, looks like Venkat is here. I try to fill in as much as possible till he logged in.
Hey Venki, hey everyone. I'm really sorry my system has been.
Venkat, we are able to hear you, but definitely not able to see you yet. So,
Sorry Venki. Everything
So that's
would be
fine. I think
wrong actually. Just give me a moment. Uh,
okay. While Venkat is setting his video right, just a brief introduction. My name is Venkatesh, and I head the Snowflake practice here with Ideas to IT. We have a fairly large team working on data warehouse solutions for enterprises in the healthcare and retail industry. And Venkat is a data architect with a Snowflake practice, and he's worked with large enterprises. Having solutions to large enterprises, and with data being the new, Venkat has been helping customers to make sense out of data to make a. Okay, your network is not stable. Okay. So I don't know. Again, it's a glitch, and I think Venkat again has to log out to log in. So last episode we saw what data warehousing was and how you can build a career, from being a SQL developer to get into cloud data warehouses. And during my conversation after the session with Venkat, I was basically asking him, yes, we all belong to data warehousing practice, but then there's a lot of terminologies that has come up, data mart, data lake, so on and so forth. And it was a very interesting discussion. So he tried to explain to me, what is data mart and what is data lake, and what kind of companies should use data mart, and where should we use data lake and all those. So I thought that was a very interesting session because um, conceptually we need to get our basics right, in terms of understanding what is right for us, and also in terms of implementing the right solution, and also from a career perspective, knowing what is what. And then I requested Venkat saying, can we do a session just talking about these terminologies, because whenever there are terminologies, there are a lot of myths that come to it, and there is a lot of misunderstanding as well. And Venkat was said it was a good idea, and that's why we brought this session. So I think I've given a lot of introduction about what we are going to speak for the last 10 minutes. We are ready to begin the session, so just bear with me. Meanwhile, would any of you want to come to the stage and probably share your expectation from this session? Um, you know, so that we will be able to cater um, exactly as to what is it that you want from this particular session. Okay, we are live on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. So, okay, hold on. So let me go and check. So before that, may I know where you all have connected from? Which city are you all from? You could use the comment section so that we'll at least know the demographics of the crowd. Awesome. Archan says he's from Gindi. Where is this Gindi? Is that the one you're in Chennai? Are you talking about that Gindi? Because we are from Chennai and there is a Gindi here as well. I'm not sure if Archan is also from Gindi. And if so, Archan, probably we should be, couple of buildings away from each other. Okay, Medavakam also sounds very Chennai. Okay, there are many people on the stream on Facebook and around the world as well. I just wanted to understand which city are you from? So I see that two people are from Chennai. I assume so because Gindi and Medavakam sounds very Chennaiish, and I don't want to misunderstand it to be some other place. So Archan and Srinivasan, are you both from Chennai? Ah, fantastic. I think I guessed it right.
Uh, Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Finally. I'm really sorry
That's
because my
fine. That's fine. I
laptop
was
down.
okay.
Uh, Everything that can happen happened. Really sorry about this. Uh, so let me just pull up my screen and we'll get started. So
No,
hi
no, no.
everyone.
It's fine. I think whenever there is technology, there is always a glitch. How much ever we rehearsed 15 minutes before the session, um, we still had to go through this. I tried to fix and fill in as much as possible. Unfortunately, I was not able to match up to your content, knowledge, and charisma. So I thought it's better to go blank and ask them for some excuse for 5 minutes. And though I asked for 5 minutes, I think we are back in 2 minutes time. So Venkat,
Okay.
and I think I've already given a brief, in terms of what we are trying to achieve, through this data talks. It's basically a session from ideas to IT technologies to get connected with people, both from people who are aspiring to get into data as a career, and also enterprises who are looking at how to make sense out of data. So I've already given a brief. I think now it's over to you. You know, uh, I mean, for those of you who tuned in a little late, we had a session last couple of weeks back. Venkat would probably do a recap of that. The follow up to that is, we were having a discussion over lunch about various terminologies, and there is a lot of misunderstanding that even I myself had. So I thought that we should have all these get sorted out, because we'll be talking about a lot of these things in the subsequent session. So it's very important for you all to get the basics right. So that's the objective of it, and I don't want to take much time. People have been really waiting to hear a lot about data terminologies. Over to you, Venkat, and all yours.
Yep. Thanks, Vinky. Again, my apologies to everyone. So we'll get started. So, like Vinky said, we just wanted to touch upon some basic concepts and then go from there. So, just to recap what we spoke about in the last session. So, we touched upon like what's a data warehouse, like it's a single source of truth for all your enterprise level information. And then we spoke about how the cloud data warehousing is actually giving you a lot of advantages comparing against the on-premise systems. And then the industry trend on how the industry is actually expected to double in the next 2 3 years. So that's the high level of demand from a cloud data warehousing standpoint. So we were just discussing on all those points. So following up on that, so we wanted to next touch upon like what's a data lake. So now that we know what's a data warehouse, people frequently hear this term of what is a data lake. Okay, so a data lake is again all the information from across your entire company brought to a single place, single probably a centralized storage basically. But the thing is, it's not necessary that it holds only structured data. It can hold semi-structured data like your JSONs, CSVs, etc. It can hold your binary data. By that I mean your images, videos, screenshots, any of that. And unstructured data like your logs from your Internet of Things devices, sensors, feeds, Twitter feeds, social media activity, web crawled data. So any of that. So data lake is basically you just dump whatever data you have, irrespective of format, irrespective of how it's structured. Just dump them all together in a single central repository. Okay. And the thing about data lake is you don't have to know why you want to use it. You only know that I might use it at some point of time, and I will define it at that point of time. So that's the cool thing about data lake. You just dump whatever you have, and then the way you want to use it can be figured out later. Okay. So that's where data lake is really convenient. So the main thing is have everything sorted out together. So though you are just it's a place where you actually bring in all the data, all formats and all that, there still needs to be some amount of order. Like for example, take an actual lake. What happens if you don't dredge it, like desilt it and all that, right? It becomes a swampland, unusable for everything, unlivable for any animal. So it basically becomes a waste. Just like that, even though data lake, you bring everything from across your entire company level, social media, everything, that just still needs to be an order to the chaos. If not, you will actually make it a data swamp, which is not usable for anyone. Okay. So now that we sort of have an idea of what is a data lake, how is it actually different from a data warehouse? I said data warehouse is again a centralized store of all the information. Data lake is also a place where you bring in all the data. So how are they different? So that's where you see the data types comes in. So a warehouse is more like aligned to a purpose which you sort of know already. Okay. So corresponding to that purpose, you define how you want to structure your data, how you want to cleanse your data, how you want to maintain it, put them all together, how you want to relate the data. You actually have sort of definitions for all of it. So you put them all in a structured way, hold them, and then do your analytics on top of it. That's your data warehouse. Data lake is actually where you don't have no idea what you're gonna do with it yet, but you know it will be useful sometime in the future. So in a way, you can say a data lake is like a staging area for a data warehouse. So once you have an idea what you're going to do with the data in the data lake, you then process it, cleanse it, and then bring it into a data warehouse to do your analytics. Okay, so that's where I said the purpose comes in. Data lake, I still currently, I just have an idea, I might need it. Okay. So, for example, we'll probably come to the examples at the end. And then the definitions, right? So, like I said, data lake still needs a definition. Okay. You still need to define, okay, all my images go into this folder structure. All my Twitter feeds just keep streaming into this particular folder. So that way, if in the at a later point of time you want to take them, you still know where they are, how they are structured, how they are grouped together. You still need to have some definition, but the definition for a data warehouse is a whole new level. So you have your data models defined, you have them all structured, you have the relationship between entities, all of it is all defined. But data lake is more loose in that case. Okay. From a costing standpoint, okay, the primary thing about data lake is you want the storage to be cheap. Okay, that's your primary constraint, because you are going to keep on holding more and more data for you don't know until when, and you don't even know how much computing you are going to run on it, what sort of resources I'm going to use. So all you know is actually you need to have the storage as cheap as possible. But from a data warehouse standpoint, it's not purely related to the storage. Your processing capabilities, the scaling capabilities, the loads on the system are all known to an extent. So it's more of a rounded cost. But from a data lake standpoint, storage is a very, very sensitive thing, which is looked upon a lot. Okay. Use cases. When are data lakes frequently used? When are data warehouses frequently used? Okay. Let's say machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these require the data in the raw format so that they can then analyze and understand patterns from it automatically, right? All your machine learning models. So a data lake is sometimes preferred for your machine learning models, your artificial intelligence, as training sets and all that, because it will one hold a lot of data, and then it will all hold it at the raw layer. So there has not been any human interventions there who have like cleansed the data or removed some of the factors and all that. So in those cases, you actually have those systems directly connecting to your data lake and pulling the data. Warehouse is more preferred, though not tightly only like this, but it's more preferred in cases where you have your dashboarding, reporting, all of those running on top of data which you have already transformed, cleansed, and kept it in a standard form. Okay. So, okay, we got a rough idea now of a data lake and a data warehouse. But then I keep hearing these other terms like data mart, lakehouse. What are these? So if you're wondering that, data mart is nothing but just a subset of a data warehouse. Okay, so a data warehouse holds your entire enterprise level data, including your sales data, your orders data, your inventory data. I'm just talking from a retailer standpoint or something. So data mart is probably just one business function of it. Okay, so you probably usually use data marts wherein you don't want to give a particular team access to the entire data warehouse. You probably want to give them their own compute, their own data, so that they work in a siloed way without interfering or impacting the other business processes. So in those cases, what you do is from the data warehouse, you pull a subset, have a separate data mart for the sales team to do what they want to do, all the reporting on top of it, etc. So it's basically the same as a data warehouse wherein the data is structured, standardized, and all that, but it is catered to a specific business function, and it's just a subset of all the information which exists in a data warehouse. Now, what is a lake house? So, as you must have seen when we spoke about the data lake and the data warehouse, right? In some cases, the data lake is advantageous. In some cases, the data warehouse is advantageous. A lake house is just a combination of both. So, the lake from data lake and the house from warehouse, that's your lake house. So, your lot of your modern cloud data warehousing solutions like Snowflake are all following a lake house architecture, wherein they give you a best of both worlds. You can store the data, everything in a cheap way in the raw format, as well as they provide the compute directly to run all your complex transformations, cleansing to understand the data, make them in a readable format, and then have them organized as a data warehouse as well. In addition, any they do support integration with all sort of applications, wherein if you have a machine learning a model like for example a SageMaker or a Dakaido, which is used to run your machine learning models, basically train past test sets and all that, you can actually connect directly to your lakehouse and get the raw data, as well as you can have your reporting applications like your Power BI tableaus of the world connecting for your reporting needs. So it's a best of both worlds is what is your lakehouse. So Snowflake is a very good example for a lakehouse architecture. So it has support for obviously for all the structured data. It has support for semi-structured data like JSON and all of it. And they have actually now included even support for unstructured data, your documents, images of the world. Okay. Okay. So all these terminologies is fine, but when do I use which one? So because all of it at the end of the day is storing your data and running analytics on top of it, right? So how do you choose which one to go with at what point of time? Okay. Let's probably do this with an example. So I'll probably take my favorite domain, retail. Okay. Let's say, for example, let's take lifestyle. Okay. So lifestyle chain of stores. Okay. So what does lifestyle do? It's a retailer which places orders to bulk buy from a set of suppliers. Suppliers are nothing but whoever make the clothes. So your people in Tirupur, your factories in Bangladesh, your factories in Sri Lanka. So they place bulk orders from them, procure it, and then they display those things in their store, and then they sell them and get the profit. Okay, so that's your basic retailer, right? So in this case, if you see, lifestyle has a whole lot of data. Number one, they know what people are buying, all that sales information. Number two, they have social interactions in their Instagram pages, Facebook pages, and then they have news feeds about their publicity, their marketing campaigns, all of it, and then their financial results, share prices, all of that data. Then the inventory, whatever they have in the stores, all that, and then how many stores they have, what sort of stores they have, this information, as well as the orders they place to their suppliers, and then the supplier information. So if you see in this whole thing, some are structured, like your sales data could be structured, your inventory data could be structured. Some are unstructured, like for example, your social media interactions, your data from your responses from your survey results or something from your marketing campaigns. These are like semi-structured or unstructured. And then even within the stores, right, you might have your AC settings, your smart devices like self-checkout counters. All of these smart devices will also have logs, feeds working on like what's the setting on a regular basis and all that. So all this could be your unstructured data, right? So to hold all of this together, you probably need a data lake. Okay. Now, as a person in lifestyle, I want to understand what's my sales. Okay. How what's my sales in a store? What product sells very well? So I want this. So then I can take this data from my data lake, bring it into a data warehouse in a cleansed way, like distortions and all that. I can just remove from all of those, process them, put it all together, put the relations. And then what I can do along with it is I can even process the social media data to see what products are popular, what got a lot of comments, what got a lot of likes. I can process that data as well, bring it to a data warehouse, and now I can show social media says these products are popular, my sales says these products are selling very well, and then I can see a relation. Are the popular products actually selling very well, or is it just a mirage of social media wherein they keep talking about a product but it doesn't sell? Okay, so all this analysis is what you do in a data warehouse, wherein you know now what are you are going to do with the data. So you bring that in, process it, bring it all together, find the relationships, and then define those metrics and identify insights from them. Okay. Now, Data Mart is nothing but all this information I have put together. Now, I don't want this whole information to be shared to my ordering team. My order team, all they care about is how much stock is left. Okay, only 10 is left. Okay, I'll place order for 50 more. Okay. So then what I do is I just take the subset of the sales data, the inventory data to show like what product is selling well and how much is remaining, so that they then take that and place the orders based on that report. So this is a data mart which is then built specifically only for the inventory team, not for anyone else, which has data only relevant for them, specifically defined for them at the levels they need. So basically a layer of customization specific to their team. So this is where you use a data mart. Okay. So a lakehouse is, like I said, it's a combination of both, right? So in large implementations, you can actually have the data lake and data warehouse together. But uh, so general high level thing is data lake. When you have a lot of data with a great mix of structured, unstructured, and even like 5 years down the line, or actually 10 years before, there was still social media data, but no one would have even realized how to actually leverage that to run their marketing campaigns and all of it. At that time, it would have just existed as a data lake. But now they would have processed all that, identified patterns from it, and then using it in a data warehouse, and then specifically would have given that data in a data mart to the marketing team to run their campaigns. So this is how you use a data lake, data warehouse, and data mart. So each of which is not like either or. So each supplements the other. So having a data lake serves as a staging area for your data warehouse. Data warehouse brings the processing and analytical capabilities on top of a data lake. So they just go hand in hand rather than actually this or that. So that's the main thing actually. So there is a common misconception that a data lake versus a data warehouse. What should I use? You can use actually both together based on the use cases, because they are not like exact comparisons. They are more like complementary solutions where you can leverage each benefit in the other cases where it's needed. Okay. So
Venkat, can I pause you here because there is a couple of questions that has come up from Facebook feed.
sure, Venki.
I believe there's lots that you've shared in the last 10 minutes. I do not know if you already explained, because this question came a little, little while back.
Okay.
So the question is, are data lake, data warehouse, and data mart, are they three different things, or are they subsets of each other? Like data warehouse, data mart, and data lake. or probably Data Mart is subset of Data Lake, and Data Lake is subset of Data Warehouse. Is there a connection between these three, or are they three different things?
Okay. So a data mart is definitely a subset of a data warehouse. So it's only a chunk of the data warehouse specifically designed for a specific purpose. But a data warehouse is not exactly a subset of the data lake. It could also be possible that whatever is data in the data lake, you process everything and then have them in a data warehouse. So that's
Mm,
also possible.
mm.
It's just that a data lake is sort of like a staging area
Okay,
from where you can run your ETL processes and all of it to bring your uh, understandable data into your data warehouse. So it's more like a staging area for your data warehouse.
okay. There's one more question. In terms of security, are there any differences between Data Lake, Warehouse, and Mart?
Okay.
Or
Uh,
can the same kind of security be implemented in all the three?
it's slightly tricky because data lake is more of a storage solution. So, like Amazon S3, right? The simple service storage,
Yes,
which is
yes.
like a very so that actually can be leveraged as a data lake. Okay, so it's
Okay,
more of a storage solution. So your security aspects comes from access to folders, access to files. So to an extent, from that standpoint, your
correct.
data warehouse is like more sophisticated security, wherein you can grant access to an entire database or grant access to specific tables, even like specific columns or specific rows within a table. So
Mm.
it's more sophisticated and it's more from a typical standpoint. Like whenever you talk about database security, so it's more from that standpoint. Data mart, since it's a subset of data warehouse, is exactly the same like a data warehouse. So
Fair
that's
enough.
how
I
it
think
slightly differs the security standpoint.
fair enough. Those are the two questions that I've had so far. I know you continue with your
All
story.
right. So actually that was it. So I was just winding up. So
Okay.
any questions, anyone? Please feel free to shoot them in the
Any
chat.
questions from Run the World, Twitter? I'm watching on all the platforms, so feel free to ask any question that you may have. In case any of you want to come to the stage, feel free to come over and you could ask the question uh, live as well. Venkat, I think you can stop sharing the screen.
Sure.
Okay, I think that was, though we had discussed this during our meetings, I think this was a lot more explanatory with the kind of examples that you gave. I think, though I heard, the definitions before, the examples made me understand it a lot better, and the questions were also very relevant because even I was under the impression saying that this could be a subset. If I have some, little depending on the size of the data, I will probably choose one of the three. But that was also good. So looks like there are no other question. Probably okay. Shruti is requesting for the mic.
Hello.
Okay, anybody who wants to come on? Okay, Shruti wants the mic, so I'm handing over the mic to her.
Over to you,
You
Shruti.
you can speak, Shruti, now. There you go.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, Shruti, we can hear
Yes, loud and clear, Shruti. Welcome to Data Talks. Good to have you on the stage. Please feel free to ask any question that you may have
Yeah,
on the topic to Venkat.
yeah. So Venkat, so we were talking about the data lake, which we can use it as a staging area before data warehousing. So you also explained about the lake house, right? So when we have a snowflake architecture like lake house, why do we need data lake when we can access all the different kinds of data there and analyze and process it in one single platform like Snowflake? Do we really need data lake there for staging area?
No, we don't. So since
So
that solution
where can
itself,
we
oh yeah, sorry.
so where can we implement Snowflake and then the data lake area?
Okay, great. So Snowflake is a solution which provides both, right? So in this case, we don't need it, but there could be other solutions where, for example, in one of the other cases, we had to do reporting on Synapse, but Synapse is a pure data warehouse, so it's not a lake house solution. So you probably had to bring in the different data into your Azure data lake, and then have your Azure data factory, process them, cleanse them, do a bit of transformation, and then put it into Synapse in a structured, organized way, and then use Synapse as a data warehouse. So, in case, like you said, perfectly right. In cases where we use Snowflake as a lake house, we don't need a separate lake or a separate data house because Snowflake takes care of both. So in a Snowflake architecture, that's one of the key benefits, right? So it provides a multifaceted single stop solution. So data warehouse comes in other cases where you could actually have data lakes existing in some companies. So only now they would have understood, okay, I can leverage it this way. So that's where your pure data warehouse implementations would come in, wherein the data lake is already there. They decided long back, let me store this data somewhere down the line. It may prove to be useful. So they probably started storing everything into S3 or something. So rather than re-architecting the whole thing, you can just introduce just a warehousing solution to just process and derive insights from that data lake. So in specific cases like that, it could come in useful.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, she's left the stage. Okay, I have another question from Swami Vadivelu. In fact, Swami is known to me, and he's one of the respected architects, in my network. He's also been, offering a lot of customer solutions. And he has a question: can we run a reporting solution directly on top of a data lake? And
We,
Venkat, looks like Swami is trying to test you, because I'm sure Swami knows the answer for this. At least that's what I think of him. But anyway, I think it's a very nice question that all of us should know the answer for.
yes, we can. We definitely can to an extent. For example, Athena, AWS service can actually run on top of S3 directly, and then you can actually derive insights from that. So as long as we understand how the underlying data in the data lake is structured, and how you can actually define a schema on top of it to like process that data, we should be able to do it directly even from a reporting solution. The only thing is it is then catering to a very very specific purpose rather than a general purpose from which a lot of different things can leverage. So in that case, we might have to redo that same work across many reporting solutions rather than have a central thing from which all reporting solutions reuse that way. That would be the only thing, but technically it is feasible.
Fantastic. So looks like there are no other questions. So we budgeted for 30 minutes of the session. We started probably 10 minutes late. So I think we've taken 8 minutes extra. Still, if there are any questions, we'll be very glad to answer. Otherwise, Venkat, you can probably share your LinkedIn QR code. So feel free to get connected with either me or Venkat, and we'll be very glad to be connected with you and help you in offering data solutions, or probably if you're looking for a career in data. You have some. Okay. Madan has got a question on social media data. Madan, go ahead, shoot your question. You want to come on stage or you want to type your question? Whatever way you want. If you want to come on stage, please request for the mic. Otherwise, you can type your question. Okay. So, Okay, this is Venkat's QR code to get connected on LinkedIn. Feel free to get connected with him. Madan, you can. I'm hoping that you are able to hear me. Please feel free to type your question or come to the stage and ask your question.
Hey Madan, can you hear us?
No, no, probably if he's typing, at least you can tell that you're typing because you are about to wind up the session. And if you have a question, we don't mind waiting for it. Okay. Okay. Anyway, the QR code to get connected with Venkat is flashed on the screen. Albin is trying to make sense out of Madan's question.
Okay,
I think he's asking about how we will analyze the social media data.
got it. So let me probably give an example of
Okay.
something I've.
Assuming that is the question, okay, feel
Yes.
free to answer that, Venkat.
Okay. So assuming that you are asking like how we can process it, let me probably go with one example, which I have done. So Twitter, we basically have these tweets published and all that, right? So there is something called a developer account for Twitter, wherein then they expose an API, so you can connect and pull the data from Twitter. Okay. So such data, when I connect and pull, would be in the form of a JSON. Okay, and so basically, the JSON would say the whole tweet message, and then there would be different tags in the message saying the ID who tweeted it, the time, the number of retweets, number of comments, and then what's the actual tweet message, any links in that. So the JSON would actually have all those tags. So once I understand the structure of that and I know what I want to derive it. So let's say my idea is to actually fetch all tweets which are which have ideas ID in the sub tweet basically. So I want to fetch all the tweets or all the users who have actually tweeted about ideas. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just pull all this data, so I can actually, when I pull the data itself, apply a condition where the tweet contains the word ideas IT or something like that. So I can apply conditions and pull the tweets, and then within that I know the users. So I can actually put this all into a table, or like traverse, have a ETL pipeline which traverse through this and then puts it into different columns in a table. And then I can just do a select distinct of users from the table. So that's the way. So once you know how it is all structured and what you are going to do with it, then that's when your processing kicks in. So you can do your ETL logic, or there are actually a lot of standard tools which can even do that for you automatically. So Snowflake, actually, just to, since we have spoken a lot about Snowflake example, Snowflake has a variant type in which you can just dump the whole JSON and then traverse through it through code and do. Sorry, just give me a moment.
So Madan probably is saying, based on social media data, customer needs innovative to expand our products. Yeah, that's what is the analysis, Madan. That's what Venkat was explaining. Based on the social media data, you can probably expand your product line, or probably, you know, even leave out certain products which are not, very well welcomed by your customers. Okay. So that's it. Thank you so much for being with us. And these data talks, every second Wednesday, every alternate Wednesday, fortnightly, we will be doing this session. So we started with the terminology, we started defining, and next would be a lot more technical sessions where we will be helping people understand how they can make sense out of data. So thank you so much for watching us. And once again, apologies for the glitch initially. Um, uh, See you all, 15 days later. Thank you, Venkat. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Apologies again. Thank you.
Bye bye.